About 100 years ago, in Russia, the Soviet Union embarked on one of the greatest experiments in the history of economics, and in fact, in human history. The idea of communism, which had been rattling around for centuries, was implemented on a grand scale. Within a few decades, it produced one of the greatest failures in the history of economics. And by all rights, that should have been the last we heard of the communism/socialism forced equality ideology. But people hungry for easy power, who don't want to do the work, take the risks, or accept the consequences of their own actions, don't do well in a free market economy where people can, heaven forbid, make their own choices about how to organize their communities. So the zombie economics of socialism just keeps plodding along, propped up by an unholy alliance of the manipulative and the gullible. And by the way, there seem to be as many versions of this ideology as there are takes on the zombie tale, as it morphs into various forms to try to evade clear detection. The latest version is a shell game called democratic socialism, which to those uninformed about the massive problems of both systems sounds like a winning combination. You can always tell a con game by how difficult it is to determine what those selling it are actually selling. Try asking the godfather of democratic socialism, or even democratic socialists of America, what their ideal society really looks like. And you'll hear a lot about how much they hate capitalism, how they openly encourage class-based warfare. Yes, today in 2022, class-based warfare. How they are leaping on board with the woke cause du jour. Well, what you have a heck of a time finding out is the details of what they actually want to do. After sifting through their evasions and rhetoric, these seem to be a few common themes. One, socialism works. It's just that the wrong people were in charge. Yeah, amazingly. This is still a common thread among socialists. You see, the prior socialist regimes were too authoritarian, but if you can just get 51% of the people to agree to revoke the property rights of the other 49%, that's not authoritarian at all. You can absolutely jail people who try to form voluntary organizations. That's also not authoritarian. You can censor dissent, no problem. Also not authoritarian. And reporting people who don't agree with you to the authorities is strongly encouraged. Sensing a pattern here? Democratic Socialist theme number 2. Workplace value will be determined by majority vote. Ever had a boss you didn't like? We probably all have. Some of us may have even been one. But do you honestly want the friendly mailroom person making decisions about how to run the company you work for, and by extension, whether it will continue to provide a living for your family? Most of us don't. In a free economy, there is absolutely nothing except socialist conspiracy theories that keeps worker-owned cooperatives from taking over the world right now, while socialists seek to imprison practitioners of their competing ideology. It's the only way to beat them, after all. Capitalists are perfectly fine with voluntary socialism in a capitalist world. So why isn't it succeeding? Simple. That person in the mailroom, 99% of the time, they belong in the mailroom. They're not capable of running a company or even helping to run one, not successfully. Worker-owned companies are quickly left behind by freely owned companies because that kind of forced equality is an inferior organizational model. It produces inferior products, inferior services, and inferior results for all involved. Democratic Socialist theme number 3, punish success and reward failure. This is a theme that transcends the workplace and is intertwined into every aspect of socialist society. Made bad decisions in your life? Force the people who made good decisions to pay for them. Got an idea that could change the world? Well, obviously, that property will be confiscated and redistributed to the people. Of course, there's no chance of your socialist overlords actually reaping most of the benefit, though. Own stocks now? Not anymore. Not if they don't fit into the ideological pigeonhole your overlords have created for you. You got a pet project that could never get off the ground if people actually had a choice of whether to fund it or not? Well, no problem. Meritocracy is a dirty word. Just throw some words like inclusive or holistic, or better yet, common good in there, and voila. You're free to build your project to nowhere, freed from the inconvenient bonds of accountability and making a fortune along the way. You think these things happen frequently now? Wait until they are standard operating procedure, the procedure you are relying on to drive your economy. Socialism as a workable ideology is dead. Democratic socialism is just as dead. Unfortunately, I foresee many more iterations before its severed head tumbles into the dust once and for all.